we are wrapping up the first week of back to school here in Martin County, I think day 4.
Day 4, yes.
Obviously a school year like no other. So many different challenges because of COVID-19. Talk about what you have seen that has worked so far over these first couple of days.
Well, it's exciting to be back in school. And I have to say, we're the first ones in the area, so, we have a lot of attention right now on Martin County School District. But the thing that has worked is the preparation that we planned for coming back. I take my hat off to our district staff, our school sites, all of our employees to be able to do the preparation, to be able to come back to school. And so that has worked, the planning, the preparation, the distancing of the furniture, the X's from where to sit at the cafeteria, the signage, the arrows, for hallways and things like that. So that stuff has worked. Getting the PPE out to the school sites and the hand sanitizer, the cleaning equipment, all of that stuff has worked. So that's been a great thing for us.
As you mentioned, first in our area to head back, a lot of attention is on you guys. Let's flip the coin. What are some things that you have noticed over the first couple of days that maybe have not worked that are being reevaluated?
Have not worked that are being reevaluated? That's a good question. I think that at this point in time, I don't know something that we can truly say has not worked. I think that there's been challenges. And so if you look to the challenges, I think the challenges are, the parents and their uncertainty about having their children at school. I will tell you that the first day, students were really happy to be back at school. That's for sure. And their parents, a lot of those parents were really happy to have their children back at school. But I think it's really that fear of the unknown for many people, the teachers, the students, and their parents. But I think after the first day, when they saw, gee, everything's kind of laid out and it's pretty orderly, and they made these preparations, we did have a lot of calls, and there are people that are changing their mind. They do want their students to come back to school, in school. And so that's been an important fact for us to be able to look at that and be super flexible and adaptable. The other thing is, the challenges, probably a challenge for us has been the technology, because not every single child at this point in time has a laptop computer. We have tried to really deploy to all of the students that are learning at home this remote learning, and now that there's higher expectation for that learning. And it's not like in March when we first had to pivot this, but now we're back to school, and this is a school day. So those students that have their families have chosen for them to be at home learning, that's a long day for a young child to be at home learning via a computer or a laptop. And so I think that poses some challenges. But I'll tell you, our teachers, again, really proud of the way that we've been able to deliver this, and our teachers are doing a great job, including those students, those remote learning students, when in class with the other students. So you have some students in class and some students that are doing the remote learning. One of the things about the remote learning students that are at home, our classes are less crowded, so we have ample distance in between the desk and the tables and chairs and things like that. So that's been a benefit too, that planning. But the challenge has been some of the technology.
So for the kids that you mentioned that still don't have a laptop, is the district making an effort to get them a laptop?
Yes.
Or how's that working?
Yes. Well, I'm hoping that right now all of our learners that are at home have laptops. So the next issue is making sure that the students that are in school also have laptops. And we have a laptops for learning program that is at our high school, so all of our high school students do get a laptop. So the ones that would need a laptop coming in this year would be our 9th graders. And I have not heard whether every single 9th grader has received a laptop. I'm hoping that they have. If they haven't, please give us a call and let us know. So, and then it's just knowing, because sometimes we don't always know, but we might read about it somewhere on social media that somebody doesn't have a laptop. But if they don't let us know, then we can't help fix the problem.
Let's talk about day 2.
Day 2.
Elementary school, a class had to go into quarantine. What were the circumstances surrounding that, as much as you can say? And that's something obviously you had to be prepared for when you're planning for in-classroom instruction, that if someone is exhibiting symptoms.
Right, and that's important for everyone to know, is that we expected that this would happen. I mean, we know that this is going to happen. There are going to be children that do exhibit symptoms, and I can't stress enough to families that if your child is exhibiting any type of symptom, that they should keep them home. If you have family members in the home that are sick, keep your children home as well, because that way it doesn't expose the other children at school. So, and if they're sick, period, just keep them home. But then particularly if they have any symptoms of COVID, keep them home as well, because it protects the other students that are in school. So going back to the Seawind Elementary, you know, these things are going to happen. And yes, we did have some children that are quarantined, and we want to make sure that all of the children remain safe. So that's why the recommendation is for them to quarantine as well. We are working with our local health department, our Department of Health here, and local physicians in our community. We have a pandemic response team, so they continue to work. And you know, I always say there's no playbook on this, and you know, we have to be super flexible and patient about this. I mean, our family, our community's been great about this as we work through this together. But there's no playbook. It's not going to be perfect. We realize that, and so we will adapt as necessary.
Do you have an exact number of how many children are still in quarantine from that class?
I believe it's 24.
24. And is the teacher back, or is she in quarantine? He or she in quarantine as well?
I don't believe the teacher was exhibiting any symptoms, so she is remote teaching from her classroom, so without students present.
And that was another thing that some teachers have found issue with, is your teachers are considered essential employees, and even though he or she was possibly exposed but not you know, showing any symptoms, is back at work.
Well, I really don't think she left work, so right, she's asymptomatic, so, and she is working from her classroom.
Talk about that policy for me if you can. What made that go? What made you guys kind of decide to have your teachers considered essential, that if they're able to keep them coming to work, even if they were exposed and not showing any symptoms?
Well, when the governor first came out with his emergency order, there was a definition in there of essential workers, and teachers are included in that list of essential workers. And so getting students back to the classroom, it's essential to have a teacher in the classroom. And so if we really want to move this forward and look at you know, the achievement gap and all of the things that can happen by not having our students in the classroom, it is important for them to be at work.
Do you have a number of teachers that have been reported calling in sick, or have the virus or symptoms of the virus?
At this point in time, I don't know teachers that have been sick with the virus. I don't know. I do know that we've had some teachers, you know, obviously attendance-wise this week. Attendance has been pretty good. It's been better than I anticipated. So I'm happy to report that. But I do know that there are some teachers that have taken off this week for whatever reason, but I wouldn't know the reason.
Okay. So someone contacted me saying that a second classroom in Martin County had to quarantine. Can you confirm, is that true? So
today, just today, there was another classroom, and I believe, haven't heard anything since earlier today, but I do believe that they quarantined the classroom, and that was a classroom at Hobestown Elementary.
Do you know how many students are in quarantine because of that?
11 students.
11 students.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that.
Okay. Did you think that it was going to happen that soon? I mean, first week that you have 2 classrooms, or was it completely expected?
I expected it. I expected it with the transmission in the community. You know, I'm just glad it didn't happen the first day, because, you know, I had the people that said, oh, we're going to be closed the first day that we open, and I'm glad to say that we are not. And we're still not closed. We may have a classroom closed here and there, or another classroom here or there. And I think as students are back to school, we'll see this. I think that we are going to see this as we go through this. And that's why it's really important for the families with the personal hygiene, the personal responsibility, washing your hands, frequently social distancing, teaching your children about that. I will say all of the children have been super fantastic about wearing a mask at school. They have all shown up with a mask. We've had very few students attend school without a mask. And so those things that you can take that personal responsibility, I think are very helpful to have us prevent the spread of this. And also the parents, again, if you are sick or your children are sick, please keep them home.
Sure. When everything took that turn in March and you guys were forced to go to that virtual route, a lot of students obviously get their meals from school and being in school. Have you guys had to alter any way to help continue to feed those families through this difficult time?
Well, I'm super proud of our food service to have been able to do that. We continued in March and all through the summer, and we continue that as well now. So our food service program has done an excellent job. They've done a super job. And students that are entitled to those meals can still get their meals even if they're remote learning from home. So that food service program will continue.
How can they get those meals if they are at home? Have you guys changed anything to make it easier?
Are they still picking them up at school?
So we literally just put this information out last night. That's why the superintendent isn't aware. It's brand new. Starting August 18th, there is a form that parents fill out. They will pick up an entire week of meals at a time. And we have 3 locations. It'll be J.D. Parker Elementary, Port Salerno Elementary, and Warfield Elementary.
I got Port Salerno. Name the other ones for me.
J.D. Parker Elementary School and Warfield Elementary School.
Okay.
So every Tuesday from 3 to 4 p.m., they'll report to one of those 3 schools and they'll pick up
Meals for a
week's
week?
worth. Whatever they've submitted on the order form, that's what they'll pick up at that time.
We might maybe try and do something more with that on Monday as like a breakout. Would you mind commenting now that you have that, just to have it on camera so we can use this?
Right. Starting August 18th, there will be an order form. I believe it will be on our website, martinschools.org. And meals will be available at 3 locations. That will be J.D. Parker Elementary School, Port Salerno Elementary School, and Warfield Elementary School on Tuesdays between 3 and 4 o'clock p.m. Families that complete the form, whatever meals they complete on that form will be available for them to pick up for the week.
It's like breaking news. You just
Breaking
got those
news.
notes and got it in.
It happens so fast that we try to brief her, but it's constantly evolving.
It's
like
been
you,
constant. I have been out all week, and
Right.
I've barely seen Diane or Jen.
It's like recapping a press conference. You just did a great job.
Okay.
Superintendent, anything else that you can add that you feel is important for parents or students to know with school still really just starting here in Martin County, and obviously one of the most challenging school years that many have ever faced?
Well, one of the things that we do have, we've got an abundance of information on our website at martinschools.org. So if parents are in doubt or question of anything, they can always find it on the website. I know it's a lot of information, but they can also contact their school. Their school is a wealth of information, and just sometimes simple things. If it's a question about the classroom, call the child's teacher or email the child's teacher. I think that each teacher puts out a preference as far as the way that they would like to be communicated. So, start with the teacher, start with your school site, and because that way you can get your answers hopefully answered faster. Also, again, I cannot emphasize enough the personal responsibility of that personal hygiene, washing your hands, social distancing, and hand sanitization. I know they make the little bottles. I have one right here of the hand sanitizer that I keep one in my car. I keep one in my purse, just making sure that wash your hands. Wash your hands really works. And I just know from my teaching days that washing your hands is a big benefit.
Absolutely. Thank you for the time. I know you're
Okay.
super busy.
Wow, that was really fast. That was easy too.
How have the students, how have they been with the whole social distancing? I know they haven't seen their friends in a while. Is that a big issue, trying to keep them apart?
I haven't been on a I have been on a middle school campus, but I haven't been on the high school campus when they're changing classes. One of the things I was concerned about was at a middle school when they do change classes. And so the sites that I have been on, because there's a one-way corridor, and like I said, is most of the majority, well, matter of fact, all the children, when they're in transit, are wearing masks. So all the children are masked. they're in transit, they're going one way, and it has not been an issue, especially with the little children. They're pretty easy to, you can line them up, and so that's not been an issue at all. So I have not been on the high school campus, though, to see them in transit or at lunch or whatever. But I'll tell you, all of the cafeterias that I have visited, they have ordered extra tables. There's plenty of tables in the cafeteria. They're only using one side of the cafeteria table, so that students are socially distanced on a bench. They've provided more tables outdoors for middle school and high school so that they can be outdoors during lunch, weather permitting. But all of these things that our staff has put into play to be able to provide that social distancing has really helped. And I think that the students are pretty much adhering to that. I know that there will be situations probably where they're not, but and that's why we say wear the mask especially when social distancing is not possible, because we know that 100% of the day there's going to be those times when they're not socially distanced probably.
My mom, I was talking to her. I'm from like the Philadelphia area.
Are you from Philadelphia?
Philadelphia area.
What part?
Are you from that area?
I'm from Bloomsburg.
Bloomsburg, okay. I'm from Delaware County, just outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
My parents are actually from the city, and then I grew up over the bridge in South Jersey.
Oh,
But,
wow.
I was the youngest of two older brothers, so 3 boys. My mom was like, I just feel for these parents. Like, I can't imagine what I would have done with you guys, because both my parents worked, and it's super challenging for these parents. I mean, and teachers and educators. It's just.
It is, and that's why it's really important to have our kids in school.
Yeah.
And if you look at situations, we know that some of our students really need to be in school. There are many situations where we know that we're providing a safe haven for students to be in school all day. We're providing food and nutrition for the students to be in school, in addition to the education that is supposed to be our primary mission. But a lot of extra things have fallen upon the school district besides education.
Sure. Can I ask you this on camera, and I'll ask you first to see if you're comfortable with asking on camera. I was talking to a charter school in Palm Beach County they said that what some people don't realize is that a teacher is more than just teaching a lesson. They notice changes in a student's behavior, what might be happening at home.
Absolutely.
And child abuse cases are domestic violence is up with this, everything, but child abuse cases the number of reports are down, because these teachers aren't recognizing that change in behavior. Are you able to speak to that, or do you feel comfortable speaking to that?
Well, I think that, one of the things that we always say too is it really starts with the bus driver. So the bus driver is the first person to see a student in the day sometimes, and they're the last person to see them when they exit. So, you can imagine over the course of a year, bus drivers get to know who their students are, when they get on the bus, what's their mood. And so sometimes a bus driver will be, hey, what's wrong with you today or whatever. And if the bus driver can tip off the school that so-and-so's having a bad day. But yeah, the school is much more than just an educational component right now. Education's the key to your future for you, but it's also sometimes noticing those slight differences in a child from day to day to be able to say, hey, what's wrong? So the social, emotional well-being of students, the mental health of students is really important these days. And all of our teachers receive training in that aspect, and a heightened sensitivity and alertness to that. And so you're right, the school becomes much more than just an educational facility.